Hi, my name's Richard Duffy. I am the CEO of SMB Solutions Cloud Services. One of the things we get a lot is people want us to explain a number of the different aspects of our cloud. So what I thought I'd do, we've got a frequently asked questions page on our website, but what I thought I'd do is kind of like do a frequently asked questions on a video. So that way, you get to hear it straight from the horse's mouth, I guess. Not that I look like a horse unless the photographer puts in some kind of filters or something like that on the background. But anyway, let's talk about a couple of the key things. So when people come to us, they ask us a few specific questions. The first thing that people are concerned about is security. And they say, how do you secure your cloud environment? So security is a little bit like Fight Club. The first rule of Fight Club is don't talk about Fight Club. So the first rule of security is really don't talk too much about how you do it. But I'll give you as much information as I can without giving too much away. So we actually utilize an integrated platform from Sophos. And Sophos have a brand name for it, if you like. It's called Sophos Synchronized Security. So what that does is that means that all traffic that comes in or out of our network passes through a Sophos XG firewall. Then every single server inside our environment also runs Sophos Intercept X endpoint protection. So that means that the firewalls and the servers are constantly talking to one another. The servers are monitoring all the traffic that occurs on those servers, checking for malicious behavior, checking for malware, checking for viruses, not looking at your personal information, of course, but just keeping an eye to make sure that there's none of that malicious activity happening. And it's constantly talking to the firewall. So that let's say, for example, somebody somehow manages to get something inside our network and it tries to infect a particular server. What immediately happens is the Intercept X shuts down the server, shuts down all the network connectivity because it's talking constantly to the firewall, and the firewall says, something's not right here, I haven't got the right security heartbeat, I'm going to shut down the connection. So that happens instantaneously. Now, the other thing that we also do is we have a security operations center that is part of what we use from Sophos, and it is called Sophos Managed Detection and Response, or MDR. I think last count, the guys told me there's about 160 security engineers working in locations all around the world, so there's 24/7 coverage. And what those guys do, as well as us managing and monitoring our own systems, they are also monitoring our systems for security incidents, security breaches, anything that looks out of the ordinary and abnormal, and then they swing into action if they detect something immediately. They can either call us and we can work on it together, or let's say they can't get hold of one of our team, they're actually able to go ahead and make the necessary corrective actions to respond to the breach. So it's a very, very well-architected, well-engineered security infrastructure. And of course, on top of that, we follow all of the standard processes that you would expect. We keep our servers, all the operating systems are patched, always up to date. We have cybersecurity insurance. One of the things that we have to do to keep that cybersecurity insurance is make sure all of our machines are patched within a week of those patches becoming available. So we're constantly doing that. The other thing that we also do is we utilize things like multi-factor authentication. Those of you who are watching this who are already on our cloud will be familiar with the Cisco Duo multi-factor authentication platform that we use. So every time anybody signs on, whether that's you as a customer, whether it's one of our people inside our organization, they have to prove that they are who they say they are by using that multi-factor authentication. So no one signs on to any servers in our environment without that multi-factor authentication. So we believe it's a great combination of those different aspects. And of course, all of our servers are kept in a state-of-the-art data center. We use Equinix SY4 and Equinix SY3 as an example. There's a video tour of the SY4 environment so you can see what happens from a security perspective there. And I would encourage you to take a look at that because nobody can get physical access to our servers except myself and my team. So again, you have all of those different levels of control in place. So that's security. Let's talk for a second about backups. So we have in excess of about 170 terabytes of storage available in our environment. And we have storage in our main data center, and then we have storage offsite. So what happens is, every day, your databases are backed up. Those backups are then also copied to another backup location offsite, and then they're copied to another backup location using what's called immutable storage. This is a technology that means no one, not even me, with the root user password can go and touch those backups for at least 7 days. That's how we've set it up. So 7 days is our limit. So effectively that means if all of those other systems fail and somebody gets inside our system and decides they want to run an encrypting malware attack where it tries to go through and encrypt all of our information, our backups cannot be touched. All right, I can't even go in and delete them as the root user, and you probably know root user is kind of like the God user in a Linux environment. So we can't even do that. So yeah, again, that's your databases. So they're backed up, they're encrypted, stored in 3 different locations, including 1 location offsite as immutable storage. Now, not only do we do that, but all of our servers, all of that backup data is encrypted at rest. So whether it's HANA or SQL Server, all of your data is constantly being encrypted. The backups are encrypted, but the actual data itself in the data files is encrypted. So if somebody managed to get hold of one of those data files, they can't just take it and restore it onto another database server with their SA password and access the data, because it's all secured with these encryption keys. So that's another important point. The next point is that we also, every single one of our servers, every night is backed up, and we use a product called Veeam to do all of our backups. Again, not an advertisement for Veeam, but we've been using it for years, highly recommended. I swear by it, it's never let us down. But we use Veeam, and what it does, every single server, every night we do what's called a bare metal recovery snapshot. So that means that at any point in time, if one of those servers fails, we can rebuild it within 10 minutes from that bare metal recovery snapshot. Won't go into the details of how Veeam does it, but it's pretty clever. We have very, very powerful servers that we run all of these virtualized environments on, so I can bring that back from the backup, and within 10 minutes that server is back up and running again. So that's an important aspect. Again, all of those backups stored on site, then stored off site, and then stored again in that off-site immutable storage. So hopefully that answers the question about the backups. The next thing I wanted to talk about is what we do from a redundancy perspective. So I mentioned we have 2 data centers. We use SY3 and SY4, and they are connected, just our servers are connected between the 2 data centers with 60 gigabits of fiber connectivity. So that means that it's very, very quick and easy for us to transfer data backwards and forwards between those locations. And we have a complete set of redundant servers in that second data center. So not only do we have that redundancy at that level, but all of the servers that we use, they are all Dell servers, and they're enterprise level servers. Matter of fact, for those of you who know about these things, who find it exciting, like I do, which is a sad commentary on my life, but those Dell servers, they have multiple levels of redundancy, redundant power supplies, redundant hard disks, and so on and so forth. So if at any point in time, any component fails, we can immediately move the workloads on that server across to another server, and then the warranty we have with Dell is a 4-hour mission critical. So they have a service technician into the data center with the replacement parts within 4 hours. But again, all of those replacement parts have redundancy, so you should see no interruption at all if we do have a hardware failure. So again, thinking about all those things, and I've been talking for a while now, and I've covered a lot of different areas, but hopefully you now understand how we address the issues of security, we address the subject of backups, and what do we do about redundancy. So we have a service level agreement that's in place that specifies how or what you can expect your uptime and availability to be. And of course, at any point in time, you can visit our status page site at status, depending on your accent, status.smbsolutions.com.au. You can see the status of all of our services at any point in time. You can see if there have been any incidents. And normally when we have always part of our processes, when we have an incident, after that, we write a post-mortem and explain exactly what happened, and if it was something we had control over, what have we done to make sure it doesn't happen again. So transparency about what we do is, as a cloud provider, is very, very important. So that extends out, again, as I said, to the use of that status page. So lots of other information you'll find on our website. Hopefully you found this a little bit different rather than reading through frequently asked questions. Maybe you might be sitting there thinking, oh my God, I wish I'd actually read the web page instead. But anyway, if you've got any additional questions, feel free to reach out to us. My email address is richard@smbsolutions.com.au. And of course, you can use the contact form on our website if you wanted to ask any more questions or just find out, this sounds pretty good, and you say, that sounds like a great environment. I'd love to have my SAP Business One hosted in an environment like that. Reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to talk to you. Thanks very much for your time, and look forward to talking with you again soon.